Hello everyone, this is Brandon Bledsoe from the 3%ers Club Tennessee and from Puget Sound Preppers, and our next video is going to be on cooking and food in bug out and somewhat survival situations. This is going to be an expanded video, but we're going to go through a lot, and we're trying to do it a little bit different this time. I've set up my tripod so that you're not looking through up my nose half the time, and so you're not just staring at equipment while I talk. But I hope this works out. I understand it's a little dark. This is as good as the lighting in this room gets, and we'll try to make it work. We'll see how it goes, but let's dive right into it. So, with your bug out bag, you'll want 3 days worth of food, and it either needs to be ready to eat or have some way to prepare it. Kind of like water, food's going to take up a decent amount of your weight, but it's going to disappear over time too, and you need to take that into consideration. You have a lot of options in front of you for food that'll last a while. These are the things you need to balance. It needs to have a decent shelf life. I would say if it doesn't have a shelf life of at least 6 months, then it's no good, because you're going to be in your bag way too often. I mean, I'm in and out of mine all the time, but that's because I'm making these videos and I take it out and march with it and everything. So just think at least 6 months needs to be the minimum shelf life on your food. You have a lot of options as far as food goes. You have these right here. These are the military meal ready to eat, and they have a lot of advantages, but they also have a lot of disadvantages. And one of their disadvantages is it's obviously bulky and it has a lot of weight to it. This meal weighs about 1 pound to 1.5 pounds. I'm looking for the weight, but it's not actually there. Another disadvantage is they are pretty expensive. They can cost about $8 a piece, if not more. You need to take that into account. And they're a little bit extravagant for a 3-day bag. I mean, I may seem a little off about certain things because I plan for longer periods of time. My stuff's more straight survival equipment that is also my bug out bag. And that's not a rule I necessarily want you to follow. But they do have a lot of advantages though, such as they have a ridiculous shelf life, and they have a lot of little things in them. And actually, I'm going to open this one up for you, those of you who've never eaten an MRE or anything. We're going to open it up and talk about the advantages and disadvantages. One of the advantages that it meets is that besides its shelf life, this bag is watertight. Utterly watertight. It's very good for that. Your food can't be exposed, and you don't have to pack it in anything else. When you pull it out, see, it's most likely packed in another layer of water protection. It's in a whole other bag. And you can save this to do various things. This right here is a multi-use item, some of which I won't go in now. Anybody who is ever a medic knows what I'm talking about though. Let's go ahead and open this up. So here's what you get with your MRE. And something I want to talk about is the bidding it farewell concept. In a survival situation, you need to look at how multi-use any ordinary item can be. And the MRE has a lot of things that can be very useful for you. So let's see. This here, we're going to save that too. This here is the hot beverage bag. Every one of them just about comes with one. You put the fluid in there, whatever you want to mix up, and you mix it directly in here. And then you use the MRE heater to mix up your to heat your hot beverage. This is the heater. Nifty little item. In the Army, I never actually used mine to heat my food. I just ate it as was, and I saved my heaters to make shaving water in my beverage bag actually, but that's on you, whatever you want to do with this thing. It can also just be used for some immediate warmth, but watch out, these things do get hot. I don't recommend holding on to it or anything. You just add water and this thing goes. And it's got instructions on how to use it on the front. You have a spoon. These things are pretty nice, they're pretty sturdy. You could probably clean it up and use it again. This one has mocha cappuccino instant powder. Yep, it's got instructions as well. It has cheese spread with jalapeno. An Army classic, the M&M, which I believe M&Ms, if I'm not mistaken, were invented to go in the rations of soldiers during World War II. This is a chocolate chip cookie. If you've never had an MRE, that cookie is like a brick. This is wheat snack bread. You should take this into account whenever you factor your water, because you're going to use a lot of it when you eat that. This is fried rice, another part of your meal here. And this is your actual entree, so to speak, the main meal, the reason you have the MRE. And this thing has 210 calories. That's another advantage of the MRE, is they have like around 2,000 calories or more each. So they're really, if you are in a dire survival situation, they've got the calories you need. Now each one of them has this extra little packet with it. And this thing's kind of nifty, because even if you don't use anything out of it right away, you can stuff it in a pocket or something and use it. Just like the rest of the food, which is all individually packaged. If you don't want to eat the whole thing, you can store that stuff, you can squirrel that stuff away for later and use it. So let's see, here we have iodized salt. We talked about salt being handy because you need it to stay hydrated. This has extra, so even if you just eat your food and use this when you need it, that's an extra item you can have. Moist towelette, getting cleaned up. Toilet paper, that's something to definitely squirrel away. 2-pack of chiclets there, a little chewing gum. Stuff's not bad. I might chew this now, actually. Sorry. And cinnamon gum. Nice. Iced tea drink mix. I'm a pretty big tea fan, and I only remember having this like once or twice, so there's got to be something to that, but I'm sure if you really wanted some, it's not bad. So they either come with tea or coffee. But that's your MRE, and like I said, it has a lot of advantages, but you're going to need at least 2 meals a day. Could you imagine stuffing 6 of those into your precious bug out bag space? Let's get that out of the way. Now, I personally don't pack MREs, because I know they can sit in your stomach and everything and clog you up a little bit, and that's fine for me. But as I've said it a lot, and I will say more, I'm bugging out with an infant, and I don't think he could eat them. I don't think they'd be very good for him. So that one's just one I have laying around. I have more, but I don't personally pack them in my bug out bag. Next, you have stuff like this right here. These are Clif bars, if you've never seen them before. Yeah, I'm having trouble getting the bag open. I guess that's a good thing. It could be worse. The thing could not seal. There we go. Or so I thought. It did it to me again. That's not good. I'm struggling with a Ziploc. If you hear a weird noise in the background, it's because one of my son's toys just started going off. That's kind of creepy. But enough of fiddling with the Ziploc. I'll fix it later. Anyways, Clif bars are really good. They're all natural. They're definitely an energy bar. It's kind of like the MRE. It's a high calorie item. I keep a separate food bag packed because I have to keep so many things for my son that I've chosen to keep most of his food in my bug out bag and a little bit for me, and most of my food in a separate bag with more for him still. That way if I'm separated from the food bag, I can still feed him. I can forage if I need to, but which we're not going into here. But the food bag, I also have the advantage of having a stroller to haul him in, and I've found out it can sustain the weight, since it is a rugged stroller, of the food bag strapped to it. So you have options like Clif bars. You have Pop-Tarts. I've learned in the Army they have a pretty stupid long shelf life. They get crushed though. You have these Nature Valley granola bars. They have a pretty good shelf life, and they give you some pretty natural energy. I keep quite a few of them around. And my favorite, which it goes against the book, the guy doesn't talk about this, but again, this is, you got to customize. I keep a lot of Chef Boyardee around. I think I keep 4 cans in my actual bug out bag, and I keep a bunch more in the food bag. And the reason I like old Chef Boyardee here is, one, I can eat it cold, so I don't have to expend any of my precious fuels, which you'll see here in a little bit, to heat it. 2, my son can eat it. I can share it with him and get something else in his stomach. And I don't have to dirty up a dish. I can just crack this open and eat it and toss it. And I mean, this is all considerations upon your water. This is why I don't pack Campbell soups and stuff, because if you intend to share them, you need to follow the directions and actually mix 1 can of soup with the can of water. And that's, you know, that's more water from you. Plus, you have to put it in a dish to heat it up, or to mix it, you have to put it in a dish with more volume. And so you're going to need water to clean that dish, which we'll go into here in a minute. This thing, I can lick my spoon clean when I'm done. With that said, this is my handy dandy little can opener here. It's got a bottle opener portion. I've got the actual can opener tab duct taped down like we used to do in the Army. This one's a little bit bigger than the military one, which you could hang on your dog tags. This one's actually, I've got one in my bug out bag, but I chose to get this one out of my EDC kit because it's the exact same thing and it was easier to get to at the moment. It also has my Fox 40 whistle on the end of it, but this can opener gives you more leverage than the Army one, and it has less weight than something like this. This thing is really heavy when you're counting ounces. Funnily enough, it also has a tiny little spoon on the end if you wanted to use it for that. But you need to think about packing at least 2 of those can openers. This one I got here came from Dick's Sporting Goods in a pack of 2 for like $1. So, but this is my food of choice for my bug out bag, is Chef Boyardee. I tried ramen on my last camping trip, and ramen's great because you can mix it with other things. If you happen to have beef jerky or something, you can try that, like beef jerky and ramen. But again, ramen takes a lot of water, and it takes a dish to prepare, and that takes water to clean. So, me personally, I avoid ramen because it takes water. And, you know, it takes time to prepare. This, crack the can, get a spoon, eat, lick, spoon clean, you're done. I haven't looked at the inside of one of these in a while. I don't know if they're coated with anything. If they are, they probably wouldn't be good for heating water or something, but it could still be a multi-use item. Or you could just toss it. It's up to you. Is there anything else in my bag? Nope, just a lot of Chef Boyardee. You have other options too. The Wise Company makes dehydrated food that has a shelf life of like 25 years. It comes in like a 5-gallon bucket, but you can pull out meals and put them in your bag. And they also sell that, I don't know what the brand is, but it has a picture of a mountain on the bag. It's dehydrated camping food. But again, both of those take water to prepare. And usually the water at least needs to be warm to kind of help permeate the food. So again, more water used, more fuel, all that stuff. I would rather conserve my water as best I can and take the extra weight of the Chef Boyardee. If you are bugging out with an infant or a child, you need to take them into consideration. I carry another bag of these little Gerber packs. There's 2 each in my bag. I carry 2 of these total in my food bag for my son. And in my bug out bag, I have a ton of these. But they're just baby food in a squeeze pack. It's really nifty. You just crack the top off this thing, and my son is at the point now to where he can stick the nozzle in his mouth and just suck it straight out. So really, I don't even have to stop moving to sate him with this. Anything you saw that I say I eat, by the way, he can eat. I can crush up granola for him. I can give him part of a Cliff Bar if he really wants it. Everything in my food is focused on being able to give it to him as well. But I have food for him. But I have a bunch of these. I'm just showing you a few now. And they're really handy. They're lightweight. They're kind of compact. It's almost like having a platypus bottle full of baby food. I also carry formula for him. I'm going to find it here. Whole mess of stuff. These are really and truly wonderful because rather than a whole can of formula, formula comes in individual serving packets now. And this is made by the Enfamil brand. And it makes 4 ounces of formula. So, and I have a whole other bag of these too. I carry 2 of these in my bug out bag. I think I carry 36 of them total. And that's partly because he would be going through probably 2 each time he ate. And I could cut him down and conserve and give him my food to help fill him up, but I've got more than enough to last him 3 days. And these are really handy because you don't have to carry a whole can of formula, and if something happened to the lid, you're not just SOL. So that's definitely a must if you have an infant. And so are these. These are the Playtex Nurser bottles. As you can see, there's no bottom to them because they take these. These are bottle liners. And you just drop one of these in, fill it with the formula and water, mix it up, and the nipple stays on the bottle. When you buy them, they'll come with the slow flow ones, so you need to look at what your infant will need. I traded mine out for fast flow for my son. In the stroller, the seat leans back and he can feed himself. I don't even have to break stride really to feed him. Part of the reason I use the liners though is because cleaning your child's dish when you put milk or formula in there is not something you want to mess around with. You don't want to risk not being able to get it clean enough, and in the field you're probably not going to be able to. So you use the liners and just toss it when you're done. I think I carry just a whole box of liners with the bottles, like 80 liners. And I have 2 of these bottles. Cleaning just the nipple is much easier. Of course, your best option if you are unfortunately bugging out with an infant is to hope they're still being breastfed, because then you don't have to carry nearly as much. My personal recommendation though is going to be that you still carry bottles and liners and some formula on the off chance that the strain of bugging out and the possibly rationed food and water depletes the milk production. That's just me. I've got more formula and more bottles and more liners in my 10-day box, and again, redundancy, and I might start keeping some in my truck. When he turns 2, I'm going to cut all this out, all baby food, and no, I might keep some baby food, but all the formula will probably be gone, and he'll just have to eat what I eat when he turns 2. Now, that's your food options. Let's look at your preparation options. You've all seen this before. This is my handy dandy metal cup. I carry this one now in my EDC bag, and I'll show you why here in a minute. I've transferred it to my everyday stuff, and I have a canteen cup as well. I showed you that when we were talking about water, but part of the reason that I transferred it is because of one of my new stoves. And you have a lot of options. Not everything I'm going to show you is in my bug out bag. Some of it's in my EDC kit, some of it goes in my 10-day box. I just want to show you your options. So let's start looking at stoves from the bottom up. This is your cheapest option in the world. It is a hobo stove, and it's not just good for being cheap, it's good for a backup. I personally made this out of an old metal coffee can, and I used to use this can to keep my EDC survival kit in, but now I've got it in bags, and these are really easy to make. Now I do want to say this: if you are not, safety first people, if you are not checked out on power tools, don't try to use them to learn to make this. If you are not of the age of 18 or older, do not go grab power tools without permission and try to make this. In fact, I'm going to say this: don't make it without permission and supervision. I'm not trying to insult anybody, but you also, hear me now, if you drill into your hand making this, that's not my fault. Don't say that Brandon or the 3%ers Club or Puget Sound Preppers told you that you had to make this, because you don't. It's on you if you do. I didn't get hurt doing it because I'm checked out on my power tools. Just safety first, people. And like I said, if you're not 18, get a parental supervision to do this. But all this is an old metal coffee can. I've cut out a large section here. I don't know how well you can see that, but I've cut out a large section to kind of put the fuel in and build the fire and everything, and to be able to add to it. And I've drilled holes top and bottom of the rim. By the way, I recommend drilling the holes and then cutting, because it'll make the can sturdier. But I've drilled holes top and bottom for airflow, and then if you can see here through the light, I've drilled holes in the top. That's going to be where the heat goes into your cooking pot, and you want to watch that you don't drill your holes too much. Like this can here has concentric rings that spread out further and further, and see, I've concentrated most of my holes in the very center, and then I made a second set of holes in the next ring out, but I didn't make any further, because the odds are you're not carrying a pot that you'll want to sit this far out. Like if I'm cooking on my cup, see, that perfectly covers the bottom of my cup. And even if you are cooking on something bigger, the distance will still cover your pot. You'll be fine. That's a hobo stove. They're pretty handy and kind of fun to make. They are by far your cheapest option. They're kind of a backup item. Next, I have my wonderful Coleman mess kit. It's just pots and whatnot. And this one I do carry in my bug out bag. It has a lid, which also doubles as a plate slash frying pan. It has a plastic cup, which I believe, no, This plastic cup has no measuring increments, but I do believe it's just a standard 6-ounce cup. It has a bowl. It's also plastic. And it has the pot itself. This little handy device here that it comes with kind of splits open. And if you see here on the lid and on the pot, it has these little metal lips. And you insert this device here, and this is how you pick your stuff up and move it and hold it and whatnot. I've actually used this one several times, especially on my last camping trip to try the rest of my gear out. It works very well, and it all packs up rather tightly. And it comes with everything you need, because one of the, like I said before with water, my stuff, most of it boils half a liter or just over, but you want to be able to boil at least a liter if possible. So this actually goes in my bug out bag. And another thing about it, now it's not the stealthiest thing, it will rattle some, but you can cut down on that because it comes with a wonderful mesh bag that seals it all up. Excuse me. Now, that I used with several stoves. This is the Coleman Max. It is definitely a hiking stove, as you can see by its size. Fuel stoves have advantages and disadvantages just like everything else. One of the disadvantages is that this thing does absolutely nothing if you run out of fuel for it. Fuel is heavy, no matter what form it comes in really. And well, as far as the liquid and gas fuels go. And these little, the top of the burner here can be damaged. And that wouldn't be good. It wouldn't be worth a whole lot if it got damaged. But I really like this one. They sell some more expensive types of these. But this one cost me about $25. And it's very small. And it fits down in this box right here. And I keep it in the box to help protect it. And this is the fuel that goes with it. This is definitely a hiker model. The fuel for that this stove uses is, it's a mix of butane and propane, I believe. And that's to give it a hotter burn for less fuel, but it doesn't last long. This can, I believe, on high with this stove will last an hour. More if you don't use it that high. I never had to turn it on high. I cooked on this thing a lot and made coffee on it and whatnot on my last trip. I was really impressed with it. For a long time I was carrying 4 cans of these in my bug out bag, but I've moved down to 2 of these because I've gone back to using other stoves that I like, and we'll get to those in a minute. Now the stove I'm about to show you is not in my bug out bag, it's in my 10-day kit, and it is almost absolutely not an option for bug out bags. It's too big, too heavy. And that is your standard Coleman 1-eye burner, or 1-eye here. This one's a much bigger version of what I just showed you. I keep this in the 10-day kit, and a lot of fuel for it. This is the propane tank. I'm sure if you've been camping you've seen one. They can run lanterns on these things, they can run huge grills, like all kinds of stuff. This fuel goes to just about everything Coleman makes. And it's ridiculously heavy. This is not at all applicable to a bug out bag, but you should consider this and some cans of fuel for your vehicle maybe, or for your 10-day kit if you build one. I'll be getting, I won't put another one in my truck because I'll probably have this with me, but this is just something I wanted to show you that I really like as well, but it's not for your bug out bag. Another thing, I dropped something, that makes it handy is the stove itself comes with this little, looks like a Christmas tree stand, and you plop your can of fuel in there and attach the stove right to the top like the other one, so it's all in one. Let me recover what I dropped. Before I get too far off track, let's talk utensils. This is my utensil set. I don't have it on cord yet, but it'll go in my pockets instead of my bag. It's pretty durable plastic. I have one of those metal camper folding sets, but again, they're heavy when you're thinking ounces. So this is just fork, knife, spoon. Pretty light, pretty durable. Something to think about. I got this at Dick's as well for I think $2. I'll probably put another one in my EDC kit. I might even put a set in my truck. Next, we have my personal favorites, the Esbit series. And I don't know that which all militaries have used it, but I know that this one here, the Esbit folding stove, teeny tiny, it fits in your pocket, was issued to the German military during World War II. And I don't think the design has changed much. You can find them on eBay, old World War II ones, look just like this. And this is what, it just folds out. It has two positions. You can leave it kind of teepeed like this for sitting your cook cup on there. See? Or you can just wide open for bigger dishes. But the thing I like about Esbit is it uses these little fuel cubes. These are solid fuel cubes. You just get them to light and they'll burn. I think they'll burn even when slightly damp. And you can light them just about any way, just as long as you can get a flame on them. So if you had to use, well, I'm not going into fire right now, just put a lighter to or a match to them and they'll go up. The Esbit stoves have this little square cut out in the bottom, see, to sit a fuel cube in. Now I'll do videos actually cooking with these things. I don't keep this one in my bug out bag. This one goes in my EDC kit, and I'm going to put another one in my truck. This thing costs $9.99, and for the value you can't beat it, because if you ran out of solid fuel, you could also build a little fire in here if you had to, or move hot coals from your fire into it. Another good thing about the folding stove is you can tear off 4 fuel cubes. It comes with 6 when you buy it, by the way. And they fit right in there, and you can close it up and it carries some for itself. When you buy more, you pay about $6 and you get a pack of 12. Each fuel cube is believed to burn between 8 and 12 minutes. And I think they'll boil... They boil a pot of, or a pint of water in... No, yeah, they'll boil 1 pint of water in 8 minutes. That's what it is. So, the cubes burn at 1300 degrees. And if you had to, you could use them to start a fire, because they are solid flame. They're a very good option. They're very light. I think this pack right here weighs, if it tells it in English, because all this stuff is made in Germany. It doesn't weigh a lot. If this works optimally, which the stoves will shield it, I'll probably get about 144 minutes of fuel out of here. And each fuel cube weighs 14 grams. There it is, sorry. And this right here does not take up nearly as much space and weight as this does. It's about the same space-wise, but I can take these out and tear them up and put them in a bag if I need to, because they are on little peel-offs, like pills. They're perforated packs. And I carry 2 of these in my bug out bag. I buy these things every time I go somewhere that sells them. I buy at least 1 pack. And I stick them in my truck, I stick them in my bug out bag, my EDC kit. I couldn't even tell you where else I put them. They're very handy, and I love them. The great thing from Esbit, though, is this right here. This is the Esbit cook stove. Before I get on with this, if you've ever heard of Gear Pods, which is going to be something I put in my truck, their Frontier kit, but we'll get there. Their stove that come in the Gear Pods uses these as well. And for $6 you get 12 of them. Can't beat it. But this is the Esbit cook pot stove, and like my cup, it's got a little handle there. It's got measuring marks on it, and it has a handy little lid. This is 0.6 of a liter. I don't know if I said that right. It's just over half a liter. But the handy part is, inside of it is its actual stove. It doesn't fold up like the Esbit pocket stove, but it is just your pot fits right on top of it. They're made for each other. It's a whole kit. This one's a little bit pricier than the pocket stove. It's about $30, and it's quite wonderful. See, it has a little opening there. I don't know if you can see that, but in that opening is the same little square to sit the fuel cube. And you just cook right on top of it. It's got its own ventilation cut into it and everything. And you don't have to worry about protecting this, because it fits right down in. And it also helps your fuel cube burn longer, because it provides air circulation while keeping it out of the wind, so to speak. And I really love this thing. This is my other stove I carry in my bug out bag. And it's part of why I cut down on the fuel I carry for that Coleman Hiker. But I do like to have options before me, so I took them both. And like my mess kit, this thing goes in its little bag and seals up. So I love both of those, and I will be getting more of them. I definitely recommend them to you. They don't take a lot of skill to use. And I don't know, I can't say it enough, I love them. Another thing to take into consideration, one of the last things we're going to talk about, is you need to clean your dishes. I was talking about that with the Chef Boyardee. You can't just keep eating out of a dirty dish. So I recommend scrubbers, and I mean there's a lot of little things you can do. You can read the survival books and everything. They tell you can use a pine cone or whatever. I just go ahead and carry scrubbers. Now it does take water to clean a dish, and if you are by a water source, that's fine. You can clean your dishes as much as you want. But if you're having to tap into your water supply to clean your dish, you're going to want to get your money's worth. So what I like to do is I will put a little bit of water in the dish and slosh it around, and then I'll use something like this. I forget what they're called, but you can buy them almost any grocery store. They're a sponge slash scrubber, and they're very handy. So I'll put the water directly on this after I've sloshed around and loosened up what I can, and then I'll use this to wipe the whole pot down, break anything loose, get it all done, and keep squeezing and reabsorbing and everything as I go to clean it. And like I said, if you're by a water source, you can clean that right out. If not, just squeeze it out and put it away. I carry 2 of these. They're very light and take up almost no space. And part of the reason I like stuff like this, I carry this tiny little bottle of palm olive I got at the grocery store. As you can see, I've never opened or used it, because if you use soap, that's more water you have to use to get the soap out. Again, if you're by a water source or something, that's fine, but I'm trying to hoard my water as much as possible. But I do carry this because certain things will not come out of a dish without a little bit of soap, and we all know it. And you can minimize it. You can put that directly on here if you want, and cut down how much water you use. But I do carry it just in case I need it. I also carry an old dishcloth and an old dish towel to dry my dishes instantaneously, because you don't want to give mold or anything a chance to set up in there, or bacteria. They love wetness, so you don't want to put them away wet. And the beauty part is, like when I was testing my gear and everything, or camping, I just did it like I've always done it, and I used a piece of 550 cord hanging from the little basket in the top of my tent and hung these up to dry overnight. Same thing with these. So that's how I clean my dishes. Like I said, there's a lot of little survival ways you can look into it. You can use a pot scrubber, or a pine cone as a pot scrubber. You can use your Shema, but I mean, again, you don't want to put food on it if you don't have to. So it's easier just to pack these in a Ziploc and stick them somewhere. But that is my bug out video on food. If I, like with water or anything, if I think of anything else, I'll make an addendum video. We'll have a lot more. I'm actually going to show these little stoves in action, all of them. And that's kind of fun. I probably won't do anything more than heat water and let you watch a fuel cube burn and everything, but I'll show you that they work. Anyways, this is Brandon Bledsoe from the 3 Percenters Club Tennessee and Puget Sound Preppers, and I hope you've enjoyed it. I thank you for your time.